Welcome to Oxford Road Chronicles, an interview series brought to you by UntoldLtd in collaboration with Reading Borough Council's High Street Heritage Action Zone. Oxford Road is a major urban street in Reading. It's one of the most densely populated and multiracial areas in the UK. Because we at Untold believe in the power of conversation, we wanted to showcase the realities of Oxford Road through the voices of those who've lived and breathed that experience.
Hi guys, and welcome to Oxford Road Chronicles.
This is an interview series brought to you by UntoldLtd in collaboration with HSHAZ and Reading Borough Council.
The aim of this project is to capture a range of diverse voices to truly understand any residential problems on Oxford Road and to see if and how the council could truly help.
We did this by reaching out to various members of the community, business owners and visitors to Oxford Road to find out what they think about the issues such as homelessness, crime and so on. So stay tuned to find out more.
Oxford Road is both popular and notorious in Reading. Whilst it's known as Reading's cultural hub, it's also associated with brothels, drugs and crime. We asked a few visitors of Oxford Road what their opinions are on these things. We are doing a project where we're exploring different ideas from people who live on Oxford Road and visit Oxford Road. So we've got a few guests here. Do you want to introduce yourselves?
I'm Marla.
I'm Serena.
I'm Samantha.
So we're going to basically be reading out a few statements, and the idea of this is just to get different perspectives and you guys share your opinions. So the first one is, sex work is valid.
Agree.
I agree.
Agree.
I don't know.
That's
Okay,
valid.
that's an answer as
valid,
well.
Yeah. I think it's valid because I feel like we're all selling our bodies for money anyway. Like, that's what capitalism is all about. Somebody labouring in construction and building a house, they're still breaking their backs and still using their bodies. The same idea. There's like a morality attached to sex. And when like men capitalize on it against the woman's will, it's fine. But if the woman or the man or whoever says it's, you know, you can do it with my consent, then that's problematic. So I think it's very valid. I think the issue only comes when you like make it illegal or like seem like this taboo topic, because that's when people put themselves in unsafe situations. Whereas obviously if it's like something that people understand or at least respect or at least don't, what's the word I'm looking for, in like dehumanize and look down on, I think that opens like a lot more constructive discussion around it.
What do you think, Marla?
I agree. I think in the context of the Oxford Road, a lot of it is not okay because it's usually traffics and I don't think fully consensual, but as long as women are safe and protected, I don't see anything wrong with sex work.
I agree. I think it's a personal choice for the most part. Obviously, like Marla said, some people maybe they don't feel like they have a choice or they don't have a choice, and it's like, what are the other options out there for people, and what's being done? If we're saying that it's illegal and it shouldn't be done, what's being done to help those people get out of that situation? That's the only reason why I'm like, I don't know, because again, like you said, there's some people who, if we're thinking, take it like OnlyFans and stuff, those people, for the most part, I don't know, but they want to do it. Or people on Pornhub, they want to do certain things. Not everybody, let me not generalize, but like, if there's a situation where people are on the streets because they just don't have any other choice, I think it's quite sad. But yeah, what is being done to help and support those people to not be in that situation if they don't want to be in that situation?
So the next statement is, a life of crime is no one's fault.
Disagree.
Okay.
I disagree.
I think it depends on what the crime is. I don't disagree. I'm more, I think, towards the agree side of the spectrum, but obviously there's like exceptions.
Yeah, I'm in the middle.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not 100% on either side, simply because some people can choose to do crime.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And there's people who have no reason to enter into a world of crime, but you carry yourself to go and like do criminal things just because you can, or you want to, or it's easy, or you can get away with it. And yeah, but otherwise, on the other hand, I do think there are some people where, let's say you grown up, you don't have, like, you have really limited funds and everything else, and maybe like you steal food, like it's still a crime, but you're trying to survive. So I think it's a bit different, and the mindset and the kind of motivation behind why someone does a crime is very different. And when I say crime, I'm not talking murder or anything. I'm thinking like drugs, theft, burglary, stuff like that. and some of it can be greed, and for others it could be necessity. So I think depending on what your mindset is would depend on what my answer would be.
Yeah, I feel like most crime is because of like not having access to things. So I don't think, in the sense of like, I think most people commit crime because they don't have access to education or resources when they're young, and so it's like one of the only options that they have. But at the same time, it is to a certain extent a choice that is made, because there are people who are in similar situations who then don't make that choice.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't think that a person who decides to commit crime to survive, or even to not survive, just to live, that's what they want to do, I don't think that makes them a worse person than the person who doesn't, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
If you could say 3 things that the council could do to actually immediately or like soon in the future improve Oxford Road or the community around that, what would the advice be?
My first thing that comes to mind is actually invest in more community-based projects and activities, especially for young people. I just feel like if there was something, I remember growing up when I was in London, and there were like things that you could just do, like there was like the after school clubs that were accessible for like the whole community, with all the local primary schools, like all the kids went there, and like there were more festivals and stuff like that. And I'm not saying that was a London based thing, it's also faded in London as well. I think it's a national issue in local communities that more and more funding has just been taken away, and now it's like you've got parents who are struggling to juggle like childcare and having kids, and you've got children who are just like maybe on road when they shouldn't be on road, and do you know what I mean? And I think a big thing would be just to try and reinvest in like actually grassroots things that will help the community. Very basic things like just having a community centre could do a world of good.
100.
Yeah. And I think actually the second advice I'd give, or like second insight or whatever, is actually to raise less passive children, which means education needs to be a priority. And like actually making politics seem accessible, because it's very shrouded in a lot of coded language. Everything is. So when you hear that, you assume politics is like one stream, or like you have to have XYZ to be interested in it, but politics affects everybody's life. We have to raise less passive children. So the council will have to, whether it is going into schools and trying to really make politics or even engagement seem very accessible from a very young age, and listening to children, because if you hear children out, they will think that what they have to say is important. Otherwise they'll grow up to be adults who won't go to these meetings because they think it's not going to make a difference.
Just to add on to that, in terms of making politics more accessible, but making the person more accessible, there should be no way that any of the members of the council that are in high up positions can walk down the street and people not know who they are. I think they need to know who these people are. They need to go into every school. They need to be going into the community shops. They need to go into businesses, make themselves available to us, that we can stop and say, hey, this pothole, this has been here for 5 years. When are we getting that fixed? You know, make it, break these barriers, and hopefully work will get done.
Yeah, because if they feel more accessible, then people are gonna definitely like trust them more as well. Yeah. Because it's like, it seems like a lot of people just don't. Even when it comes to the police, for example, our communities don't tend to have a good perception. Yeah. And then again, when it comes to like how even we've just said, they don't seem to be doing much. There's no community centres. There's no this. There's no that. There's not that belief or like trust in the government services. I guess. 100%. Full stop. So it's like, if you're thinking this is an issue, your next thought isn't going to be, oh, let me approach someone in the council. You're just going to complain to your people. So I think they need to kind of rebrand themselves in a way. And I think what you said is so true. Like you said, they should be able to walk down the road and have that rapport. We're in a very polarized kind of state of mind at the minute, and you could tell that even from the conversations that we had with the members of Oxford Road. So it is really interesting. So after this, we're going to hear more about what the business owners think and what their experiences have been like over the years that they've worked. Oxford Road has dozens of shops and facilities, from butchers to African hair shops, serving the needs of the hundreds of diverse local residents. But how do the business owners really find it working here? What made you come to Oxford Road to start a business?
I've been here for since February 2019. Before I was working at another shop, but then I decided to get my own business and went online, saw it on Gumtree, and then yeah, Oxford's probably the best place to have a barbershop, I reckon.
Why'd you say that?
Passing traffic, multicultural area. I think it's probably the best area for me right now.
Could you tell us a bit more about your experience on Oxford Road, like when you started working here, and more about your business on Oxford Road?
So we start almost 3 years ago now. And when we starting, it was a bit difficult, I have to say, because this area got, you know, most of people how to say, they go for what they call fast food.
Yeah.
Yeah, they go for fast food, and when we open this kind of restaurant, a lot of people doesn't really realize we are here, so it's quite difficult to get customer in. And slowly after that, it's okay.
Oh, that's so good.
So how long have you been working on Oxford Road for?
Since you can say about 2008.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
it was Ambala before, different street
Oh my
shop.
god, yes, Ambala. I really
Yeah.
liked Ambala.
So we think from 2008, and we changed the name in 2019 into different company like so
Okay.
since 2008, still here serving people.
Yeah, that's a really long
Community,
time.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so you're really like integrated then.
Yeah.
So how long have you been working on Oxford Road and had your business on Oxford Road?
I've been running since 2002.
Oh wow.
Working in Oxford Road.
Oh.
Let's say about hometown.
Yeah.
Since been in business from 2013.
Oh, okay.
Okay. What's your perception of Oxford Road, like generally? Because I'm guessing you've lived in Reading
Yeah.
most of your life.
Good and bad. You see a few different type of characters, from obviously drug takers to normal, ordinary people. It's alright. Reading's nice. I like Reading.
Don't want to say too much.
Don't want to say. Don't expose
People.
Yeah.
That's alright. That's okay.
What made you choose Oxford Road as your business location?
To be honest, the place is owned by one of our friends. They're planning to run the sushi restaurant, and after that they realized that they couldn't do it, they couldn't manage it, so they passed on to us, and that is the reason we came here. Otherwise,
You don't know what you'd be.
yeah, we might not be here. Yeah.
What changes have you seen over the years? Have you seen any like improvements in the area?
Not really, to be honest. Especially on Oxford Road, no. Only red routes and parking restrictions.
Yeah. So nothing like good for the community, really.
It's not about bad ways, but community is always helpful with us. Like.
So how have you found it, and what changes have you seen over the years on Oxford Road?
Well, there's many ups and downs, but Oxford Road is always Oxford Road.
Yeah.
There is nothing you can change about it. But
What does that mean?
Yeah.
it's okay.
What does that mean?
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Always good and bad together, but it can improve with many, like some sort of like social workers involved, more social workers involved, and few bits and bits like we can do the even a road we can do much cleaner if you want to.
Yeah.
If council wants to be honest, we not like a normal person. We cannot do much about.
Yeah, what do you mean by social workers? What do you think?
Social workers, we need to reduce the druggist level down, to reduce the social crime down. That is the reason.
So what are your like positive experiences on Oxford Road? Have you had any negative ones with customers, or has it been good all around?
Positive, really. I've never had really any negatives apart from parking. Government. Reading Borough Council. Got to pay permits now.
Yeah.
So I keep getting tickets. That's the only thing. £30 a ticket adds up. And I'm here 10 hours a day, so I'll keep moving every 2 hours.
Can you not apply for permits?
It's like £300.
Is
Should get
it?
it for free, really, shouldn't I?
Yeah, 300. That's interesting. What are your like positive experiences, and what have you not liked as much of about being on Oxford Road?
We do have a good experience in here. We love the place. Mainly the road was quite busy, so as we do delivery, it is very challenging because you need to reach the customer on time. But when the road is busy, you can't really move it fast. Apart from it, everything is okay.
That's so good. You opened it before February 2019, so before the pandemic.
Yeah, just before the pandemic, a year in, and then obviously the pandemic hit.
So how was that? Stressful? Was it hard, or was it? Calm?
Struggled a little bit, but the government helped me out with a loan, so it was alright.
That's good. That is good to hear. So what, during the pandemic you were completely shut?
Yeah, I was shut for about, I think, 4 or 5 months. So I got to enjoy some holidays because when you're self-employed, you don't really get time for yourself. So I just took time to spend with family, and then we came back for about 2-3 months, lockdown again, and then I think there was another lockdown, and yeah, I've been back ever since. I think since February.
That's good. So how has it been after the pandemic with COVID? Has it been more difficult, or?
It is quite difficult in terms of from council. We got much more pressure. A lot of sign, a lot of hygiene things we have to do it, and also we cannot let the customer in.
Really? So, even now?
Now it's a bit open, but for us it's a very small place, and we got a very small restaurant, so we don't want too much crowded.
Yeah.
So we couldn't accept until the pandemic is almost over.
Oh, I see. So were you open during the pandemic, like delivery service, or were you completely closed when lockdown happened?
We were closed only for maybe 2 weeks.
Oh, okay.
We were serving in pandemic.
Okay, that's good. How did you? Was that difficult? Was that stressful? How did you find it?
It was tough time. Slowly we getting up.
Yeah.
It was very tough because of everybody got own family, like kids and stuff, little kids.
Yeah.
It's tough for them, for us.
How did you find running your business during the pandemic? Was it
Always,
stressful?
Our business this sort of time always funny, but we okay.
Okay, that's good. That is good. Do you think government can do more, especially within the renovation or like making Oxford Road better, or do you think they're doing all they can?
I think they could do better if they communicated with a few more people and asked what they needed around here. I don't know what they need, but if they speak to different types of people from different backgrounds, I reckon they could help a lot of people.
Yeah, that's interesting, because I think often from what we've had, the council say like it's really hard to get engagement. So if the government came in like officials, would you speak to them casually?
Depends. If they approach me in a nice way and they didn't come in and start looking around and just go to me, then yeah. So if someone's come in there before and they've given me a bad energy, so I just kept it short, so it's left. I think it's about your approach, really.
Definitely. Is there anything that the council can do or the government can do to help you guys, in your opinion? Or?
There's nothing much the government can do. They've been helping to a lot of business already. There is nothing much they have to do it. They spend a lot of money already.
What are the challenges? What has not been good? What do you think the council or the government could do more to support you guys or the Oxford Road community?
To be honest, for us, every shopkeeper, they need parking space. Okay? And since Red Roof started, we have a lot of problems and trouble. People come, they don't want to wait. They just want to come and go. Because of Red Roof.
Yeah. Interesting. Do you think it's gotten like better since the pandemic, or with the like levels of people on the road, has it been less?
I think it
or?
is good than we expect. Once pandemic start, personally myself, I think more social crime will happen, more, but it didn't. But government does a really good job.
So after hearing from the business owners on Oxford Road, it was very interesting in terms of like how they saw the community. Obviously they all acknowledged that it was quite diverse, like a good place to be in terms of like transport links and everything like that. And like the general feeling seems to be that the actual people in the community are very friendly. It's a very nice community to be in. But obviously on the flip side, in terms of what they felt like they were experiencing from the council wasn't always so positive.
Yeah.
So what did you guys kind of think of like the stuff they were talking about?
There was a lot of like almost lack of faith in how the council could help. Because we asked all of them, what do you think the council could do? And some of them quite literally laughed because it was like, oh, what are they gonna do?
Yeah, and it was literally like, it's Oxford Road.
Yeah.
Like it's Oxford Road. Oxford Road's always gonna be Oxford Road. Yeah, just kind of become complacent. Yeah, it's like this is what it is.
Yeah,
I do think that can be quite, because obviously Oxford Road is so like ethnically diverse. I do think it can be quite a cultural thing though, as in like often, even like we saw this with the disparity with COVID and the nurses. Like one of the issues was that a lot of nurses from ethnic minority backgrounds wouldn't actually go to their higher ups and complain as much as their counterparts. And I do feel like you actually see that a lot anyway. Like it's not in our nature to like go and complain to the authorities. And I think that can come down to like what you were saying with the distrust with like government agencies and police in general. Like there's just a disconnect there. So then why would we go to those people and complain? Do you know what I mean? But I do think, like you said earlier, to touch back on that point, it obviously will draw parallels, because ultimately these business owners are people in the community just like the residents, and so a lot of the points are going to cross over and be the same. And it does just come down to like people within local government just have to be more accessible, and bridge that gap. And so that brings us perfectly on to the next part of our documentary, where we interview a man and his son, and we talk about the relationship with Oxford Road in an intergenerational way.
Oxford Road has its pros and cons, but considering it's named one of the most dangerous places in Reading, we were curious to know what it's like raising a family here.
My name is Byron Taylor, and that's my son Malachi.
Amazing. Perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read out a few different statements and just want to hear your thoughts on it. So first off, let's start with your experience of Oxford Road. So Byron, how have you felt about being on the Oxford Road, living there for how many years?
Well, initially when we first moved from London, we kind of thought it was okay. It was kind of cool because it was kind of multicultural and had lots of different sort of shops that met the needs of minority ethnic groups, so on and so forth. And then I think we kind of got duped a bit by the estate agent, but after a few months, then it began to dawn on me that the area needed some regeneration. So I think we sort of moved here around 2009/10, fully. So my experience of it is there's pros and there's cons, in summary. So the good side is the multicultural, the access to different communities. But the bad side is the regen. It looks kind of very deprived in some parts. Generally, I think maybe the council should think about generally. Sort of, I get having like a kind of, the shops, like they're okay and stuff and they do the right thing, but maybe just clean them up, like regenerate, like Hastings did. Hastings did sort of something very similar. They had lots of shops on one street quite run down. And then off the Oxford Road, there's some good facilities, Prospect Park, things where I took my children when they were young, when they lived on Oxford Road. They don't anymore. They moved to Wokingham. Says something in itself. So, I guess, without being too negative, that's my
That's your view.
That's my view back.
Okay, I'll come back to you on what you mean more by the regeneration side. But Malachi, tell me, what has your experience been living there, kind of growing up there, versus now that you've moved out? Do you have a preference?
Didn't really go out much when I was in Oxford Road. rich, mainly like Prospect Park and local parks. Not really much to do around, so I don't know. It's just I didn't really do anything.
But you go out more now.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. So if you could give the council one advice, like as like a young person, is there anything that you would want to say, or even to the local government?
I think it's fine. It's just like because I'm older now, I'm allowed to like go out and do stuff more freely. It's probably just because I was younger. Okay, that's interesting. So Byron, what do you kind of mean by regeneration? Like, what should they focus on? Is it more youth centres? Is it more grassroots work involving everyone? Or...
Before we come to that, can I just touch on a point that you just made around access to like physical green spaces? All right, okay, access to sporting facilities for the children potentially in Oxford Road and maybe Bath Road and surrounding area. So they've obviously got college slightly different. So that's an interesting one for the council, because the only facility that they have in Prospect Park where the children and young people go and play football, the council have decided to only open that in the weekdays, but close it at weekends.
Oh wow.
So where the tennis courts are, where the sort of Power League football pitches are. So on a Saturday, where people would go, Saturday, Sunday, that's when children go out, exercise and play, that's closed. And also, if you want to book it, there's a charge, and then you have to book it for months on end. That doesn't enhance any physical activity. That does not provide access. That's an inequality in itself.
What did we think about what they said?
I think it's really interesting to see just the difference, I guess, from like the past generation or whatever current generation and the future. Which brings me back to the point that actually the only way to change the future is to change the thoughts of the people who are going to be the future.
Yeah.
Like that was really important, because there were points where like it makes sense because he was very young, so it's very much like, oh, he hasn't even seen the world to then know whether it's getting better or worse. I'm excited to see what the future generation will do and what our generation will do. Yeah. And maybe,
I like to stay hopeful.
Yeah, you have to.
I'm hopeful. I'm definitely hopeful. I think just in terms of what you see younger people talking about now, it's so different. Like, they're definitely more engaged and more aware of things. So I think by the time they get to the ages where they've maybe like have more independence to actually do stuff and make a difference, they definitely will. Yeah. So, yeah.
Oh, I agree. And I certainly hope so.
I really hope so. Obviously, like on our platform, we're really about having raw conversations and also amplifying voices from different people from different walks within society. So during this, I guess, project, we've also wanted to reach out to people who don't often get that platform to speak. Shreya spoke to someone who's currently living on the streets near Oxford Road, so if you want to talk more about that.
Yeah, at the beginning of Oxford Road. So his name is Fernando, and he came here as like an immigrant to work. When you see people who are rough sleepers or who are on the streets, and like they all have their individual stories, they're actually humans, and like the individuality is stripped from them, because you don't. How often is it that when you go past people, you actually even if they give them money, stop to ask them their name? It very much just becomes one of many, and I think that's actually part of it. So that is really important to us at Untold, to give voice to these marginalised people, to really hear their stories in their own words.
The number of rough sleepers in Reading has dropped in recent years, but the issue still exists. So whilst documenting Oxford Road, this meant capturing the members of the community that often get overlooked.
How did you end up here? Yeah, in Romania.
Am venit aici acum 2 luni de zile. Am vrut să-mi caut ceva de muncă. Am venit aici acum câteva... Am venit acum câteva 2 luni de zile. Și am vrut să caut ceva de muncă. Să pot munci. La noi în țară nu e greu trai. Așa că am venit aici, m-am găsit de lucru la 2 luni de zile în șantier, ca labor. Și n-am acte, n-am documente, resident, nu am serial number și șeful de la muncă mi-a spus că nu pot să mă angajeze dacă nu am acte. Și m-a dat acolo. Și am rămas pe străzi, nu mai am încazare cu ce să plătesc. Trebuia să plătesc vreo 400 de lire ca să fost angajat. m-a dat afară. Așa că am rămas pe străzi. Și acum cerșesc ca să fac bani să mă duc acasă, la mine în țară. Și mi-am făcut un bilet de avion cu data de 1 septembrie și atunci voi pleca acasă. Până atunci o să mai fac bani să ajung la aeroport. Okay.
Thank you. So how can the government help you?
Am fost la ambasada română și nu m-au ajutat. M-au găsit niște oameni de pe aici, de la centru, un centru de ajutor de aici, Caritas, și au spus că mă ajută să fac un bilet de avion, să dea un hostel, ceva și tot nu mi-a dat. Am o lună de zile de când stau și dorm în stradă. Și au zis că mă ajută și nu m-au ajutat nimeni. No help.
So they haven't helped?
No.
Nothing?
I speak center, Caritas. People center is helping. Yeah, of course, yes, help. It's not helping.
No help?
No.
So before you came, were you born in Romania? Where were you born?
Yes, it's 1 September.
No, where? What place? Oh, that's okay, I'll write it for you, don't worry. Romanian, yeah. So when did you come to England? I'll write for you.
No, 2 months.
2 months?
Yes.
Wow. And no help in those 2 months?
No.
No.
It's me who have a job here 1 month. Because me no have documents, no have SURA number, no have resident CCS.
You lost your job?
Yeah, my boss is out. No. He's no have money. The hostel no have money. The home here.
Yeah.
And out in home. Street. Sleep street. Homeless. Yeah.
For a month?
Yeah, did 1 month.
1 month.
Because me begging.
Yeah.
The money the go Romania ticket.
Yeah.
We have 1 ticket. Go Romania. And now stand here. Money to go airport. No have money ticket airport. Victoria Station. To go airport. Bluetooth.
Oh, so you have ticket to go to Romania, but you need money to go to the airport. What airport? Luton Airport. Okay. How have you, so have you just been, I'll write for you. So have you been on the road, on the street for a month?
Yes.
What?
Yes. It's Romania.
In Romania?
Yeah.
So mum, dad?
Yes. Have wife, have children, kids.
Oh my god, 2 children?
Yes.
Have you spoken to them?
Yes, they can. My family help me.
Okay.
No have possible. They help me. No have house address. This send money the Romania to here.
Oh.
It's because no help.
No help at all.
Yeah. It's my mom.
Yeah.
Is coming to here.
Oh, when?
Yeah.
When?
And no. Immigration. Luton, come back to Romania. My mom.
Why? Why?
I don't know. No have residence, no have documents, no have visa.
Visa?
Yes, visa.
Yeah.
And go Romania. And me the here. There's no have money. And we have family, big family.
Yeah.
No have possible. Yeah, 1 September we go home. No problem. Yeah.
Having watched that, I think the one thing that really strikes me is that actually homelessness can happen to anyone, and I think that's one thing that people often forget. It can actually happen to anyone based on your circumstances.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think people can be so far removed, and I think people can be extremely judgmental, and think, oh well, they've done it to themselves. and if I wouldn't have done it that way and I wouldn't have done it this way, and don't realise like how close you can be to your own life unravelling. And yeah, you should just you've never walked in someone else's shoes, so you should never be so dismissive of their situation and how they get there. And I think, yeah, when it comes to people who are rough sleeping, we just need to have more compassion and not stereotype, because I think there's so many stereotypes that surround homelessness, when really the onus should be on the government to do more.
It's interesting to hear all the thoughts. Obviously we've touched on that, and then we've also kind of explored the whole crime issue. Obviously that's something we also believe needs to be tackled from the roots. So obviously we've talked about that. We've also kind of thought about like sex work a bit and like the perspectives of that. So in the next episode we kind of delve into a bit more about what the council can do a bit more in terms of all those other aspects as well. We of course have our own personal views and stories about Oxford Road, so we decided to reflect on these experiences as well as what we'd heard. Welcome back to Untold. I'm Serena.
I'm Naima.
I'm Samia.
So today we're going to be discussing some of the issues that we think exist on Oxford Road. Samia over here has lived on Oxford Road her whole life, so she can kind of tell you a bit more about her experience there.
Yeah, well, I think one of the major issues, well, especially growing up, was the sex work. As a girl, it led me vulnerable to people that were looking for the prostitutes. Nothing against sex work, and I think it's put Oxford Road on the map, most definitely. But I think making sure that the workers were safe and making sure that other females were safe in the area should have been the priority. And although it's like died down a bit, I think it's still got this like hangover where there's a lot of sexual harassment that still happens on the Oxford Road. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, definitely. I would say it's kind of like you don't want to walk down Oxford Road late at night on your own as a girl. No,
that's always been the case.
The thing, like,
from a young age. I think we always, because we had that impression of it anyway.
Yeah.
So we kind of, I think our parents would also warn us and kind of be like, oh, if you're on that road quite late, like make sure you're with people and stuff like that. But what do you think like the council can do to, like you said, make people feel safer or stuff like that?
Definitely more lights. So I live just off the Oxford Road, so generally speaking on it, it's well lit.
Yeah.
But as soon as you're trying to go to your home or take a turn, it becomes pitch black, and I think that leaves you very vulnerable and quite scared. So complete lighting all over the area.
That's a really good point. I was actually just thinking the same thing, because like when I lived in Oxford Road, again it was just off of Oxford Road, and like you said, it is really well lit until any of the side roads just off of it can just get neglected.
Yeah, definitely.
It was really interesting because when Shreya and I were going down Oxford Road speaking to business owners and things, they were kind of giving us an idea of like what they've experienced, and like some of them talked about crime as well. So I'll just we can touch on that, but just one thing I wanted to say. A comment from one of the shop owners was that people kind of just don't come forward to report things. Yeah. And I think that was really interesting because you would think that like if you feel threatened, it would just be the automatic next step to like report it. But it's also, it kind of shows that like there's no real sense of like security from the local authorities.
Yeah.
And like anything will be done about it, or that maybe they just don't feel like it's safe to even report things. Yeah. But in terms of crime, like what have you kind of seen, heard, experienced?
I think the wildest thing is when we were younger, I went to the park just off the Oxford Road, and we found a whole suitcase full of drugs. And I think that was the wildest thing. And I didn't even know what it was. It's only until I was older I clocked it. But like that is a madness. And then someone had to come and take it away. But we were like, it was so scary. And I went home and I told my mum, oh my goodness, we found this suitcase and it had all these weird stuff in it. And my mum was livid because I think from her perspective and now as an adult perspective, in that suitcase there could have been absolutely anything.
Yeah.
And although for us as kids there was like basically the whole park full of kids, we were all digging. We thought it was like we were architects, not architects, what's it called? Archaeologists. We were really going for it. There was so much of us, and luckily it was just something minor as drugs. But yeah,
but no, I don't think that's necessarily minor though, because what if, because you know how kids just put everything in their mouth? What if one of you just decided to like eat
it all?
Yeah.
No, that would have been really bad. But I think it kind of highlights the drug problem on the Oxford Road as well. That you could go to a park and find drugs casually. Love Oxford Road.
Yeah, we know.
We can tell.
On that note.
Our take-home message is that Oxford Road has an amazing community. Definitely get involved within our community and get involved in local government.
And the way to get involved is by contacting your local councillors, telling them issues that are important to you and your community, getting on the Reading Borough Council website and see how you can get involved, and get in touch with us. As an organisation, we're really passionate about getting involved with grassroots projects, so please contact us with the email below or head on to our website, which is www.UntoldLtd.com.
It is extremely important to keep the conversation going because we at Untold believe that the world is changed one conversation at a time.
So thanks so much for being on this journey with us, guys. You've heard from us, you've heard from the local communities, and now we want to hear from you. Thanks for watching. The full episodes will be available soon on our YouTube channel, UntoldLtd. Also, don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms at UntoldLtd.
5, 4.
Our take-home message is that Oxford Road has an amazing community. Definitely get involved within the community and within local government.
And the way to get involved is by lobbying your local councillors, getting on the Reading Borough website. Oh God, fumbled the bag.
I think we should go with the first take.
Okay, let's go again.
Our take-home message is that Our take-home message is that the Oxford Road has an amazing community. Can I do that again? Our take-home message.
Stop. Give it time.
Yeah.
So
Really,
that.
take a minute.
Yeah.
Just like whenever I have to do another take, when I'm like recording my own, I'm like,
Yeah.
just do whatever you need to.
Don't rush.
Yeah.